So my girlfriend came home yesterday with a gift for me. She had this hat, which reminded me of Hunter S. Thompson. And you add the cigarette holder to the mix and a bottle of alcohol, and I think we have a pretty good outfit right now. Just for the record, I don't smoke. I just thought this was a pretty cool prop. Now, for today's video, I want to talk about something that not many people talk about. And it's something I should have talked about a long time ago. It always baffles me how little this information gets spread. For example, everybody knows about how terrible the come downs can be from MDMA. And this is because what MDMA does is it causes a huge surge of serotonin to be released, which takes, well, at least a month to fully replenish, meaning serotonin is the chemical which is responsible for your mood. So obviously, if you don't have the chemical that is responsible for giving you a positive mood abundant in your brain anymore, the following weeks to come, you're going to feel a little low until your body replenishes that serotonin. But substances like LSD or other psychedelics that work on the 5-HT2A serotonin receptors, what they do is they kind of latch into the same receptors in your brain that serotonin latches onto, causing the effects. They don't necessarily create a release of serotonin, so it's not like in the following days your body has much to replenish. Well, maybe you've got to replenish your sanity, but that's a different story. Some people have what they call the afterglow effect. The following days, weeks, or even months to come, they can feel refreshed, rejuvenated, enlightened. But even in instances where you do have an enlightening trip, it's still possible the following, well, specifically the next day right after, to have a quite debilitating come down. So what I want to do is tell you guys about some of the nasty come downs I have had and why I believe they happened. This video is going to be just my own subjective effects. I can't speak for everyone, I can just speak for myself because I only know what I personally have experienced. And I've personally experienced, like I said, some really nasty come downs. I've had come downs from LSD where the next day it was made so apparent to me all of the wrongs I was doing in my life and everyone that I was hurting. And there was some people that I was hurting that it couldn't be helped because at the time I was living in New Zealand and I was on the other side of the world from where my family was. There was some members of my family who were going through some tough times and they really needed me there for them. So the LSD just made it so apparent how I was affecting the people in my immediate life in a negative way. And I remember just being so miserable and being so aware of my selfishness that I just broke down into tears and I bawled my eyes out like a little baby. It's kind of like what the LSD come down is it makes it so apparent and clear to you all of the things that you're doing in your life that are selfish, that are hurting people, that are hurting yourself, that are impacting your life in a negative way. And it kind of just like lays them out on the table, clear as day. And it doesn't let you look away. It doesn't let you look away from them. And then the day after your trip, after you've realized all of these very obvious things that, say, if you weren't you would be able to see. Like, I find that we often are the worst judges of ourselves. Everyone's so great at judging other people and seeing what someone else is doing wrong, but they're often terrible at pinpointing what they are doing wrong. I mean, ultimately, it's a healing process. It's not a negative process, but it 100% is a come down, and that's only one aspect of the LSD come down. There's the other aspect of the come down, which is the physiological aspect, which is because when you're on acid, you feel like such a surge of energy and you can feel very invigorated with life. You can feel very alive and present in a way that you're just not capable of accessing in everyday consciousness. So then the next day comes and you're feeling drained of energy, you're feeling not as present, and that creates a pretty intense come down as well. Because you realize that you're not going to feel like that all the time, and you wish that some of the feelings, some of the positive effects that you felt, some of the unity and interconnectedness with all of humanity that you felt during that experience, it doesn't necessarily last all the time. Sometimes you do fall back into your own individual ego, you fall back into your own narcissistic qualities or tendencies, and you don't always get to savor or hold on to everything that you learned. There's a lot of people who trip on LSD and they have these life-changing experiences, and then like a week later, they're exactly the same person. And it doesn't matter how many times they trip, they're still the same person. These substances don't always cause life-changing results. And I always find it funny when people say stuff like, say for DMT, they'll be like, I know I'm digressing away from the topic here, but they'll be like, don't smoke DMT because your life will be forever changed. You'll never be the same person again. And I guarantee you there is a higher percent of people who have tried DMT or who have done ayahuasca whose life is exactly the same as before they tried it. I mean, maybe they've realized some fundamental truths to reality, but just realizing these truths without actually putting effort into making a change in your life, which making an actual change takes more effort than just doing a drug. Like, the real changes happen after you realize and you're shown like what you're doing wrong, and you make a conscious decision, conscious effort to fix it, to eradicate the errors. Another huge debilitating factor for your psyche after you have one of these eye-opening experiences is realizing that the world as it is fine, that it doesn't need fixing, that all of the shit that is currently happening is happening for a reason. It's even difficult for me to let those words escape my lips. But often you can come to these states of consciousness where you not only accept things the way they are, but you see that things are the way they are because that's the way that they want to be. And I'm not saying that it's not possible to change the way things are, or it's not possible to fix the world and make it so that no one goes hungry and that, the 1% that control everything are no longer in power. I'm not saying that it's not possible to do any of those things. I'm just saying it can become very clear to you that the reason things are the way they are is because that's the way they are, and it's really that simple. And that can be a pretty depressing thought. It can lead you to feeling as though you're helpless in making any real changes, and it can make you feel as though you don't really want to be alive in this world. Because let's be real here, this is not the most pleasant place all the time. There's a lot of really dark, dirty, nasty human beings out there who have forgotten that this really all is just one big game. This is for fun. This is not serious. Life isn't meant to be serious. Life is ultimately playful, as Alan Watts would say. And these people, they don't do good unto others. And you can sit back and be like, oh, but the law of attraction will get them. Karma's going to get them someday. You reap what you sow, they'll get it back. I hate to break it to you guys, but it doesn't always happen that way. It really doesn't. The reason that those people exist and the reason that is perpetuating is because we're allowing it to perpetuate. Like, simply put, it's our fault. After a really intense LSD trip, you can realize that you have so much more power than you give yourself credit for, and that it really is possible to make a change, that we all have the ability to make a serious change. And yeah, you'd think that it would be, enlightening. It would be uplifting to realize that you have all this power. But as soon as you realize that you have all this power, at the same time, you come to the realization that you've always had this power. Everyone has this power. And the way that this system that we live in, or we're brought up in, like even the way schools don't build free-thinking, creative individuals. They build slaves. What I'm saying is you realize that we have so much more power that most people just don't acknowledge. But the depressing part is you realize that you can't necessarily share your revelations with the world. I mean, you can try, but you realize that there's such a nasty stigma around, say, psychedelics, that you can see that in order to make like a real significant change, it would kind of take everybody to open their mind and to start to see things the way that you see things. We could make it so that there was no more GMO products. We have the ability to do that. We have the ability to tell the people who are producing products what we want. Because, newsflash, the only reason that companies produce certain products, the only reason that like GMO products exist is because we are buying them. We are showing a demand for those products. And if we just stopped purchasing. Like if everyone stopped buying alcohol, all the alcohol companies would go out of business. They exist because we are consuming them. So you realize that you've got all this power, but you got no way to share it with people. And I think that was part of the reason why I started this channel, was because I wanted to share, I wanted to help destroy the stigma around psychedelics, because I had such some nasty LSD or just psychedelic come downs, because I was just made painfully aware of everything that needs to change in this world in order for the world to change. And it's really silly to say, but what it comes down to is if you want to change the world, you got to change yourself. Cheers to that. Past alcoholic tendencies coming back. I just really wanted to play the character for this one. I thought it would make the video a little more interesting. Anyway, I am sure that there are many things that I'm missing that contribute to the LSD come down. I just wanted to make a video to kind of show the darker side of an LSD trip, because it's not all, it's not all roses and flowers and rainbows. Like, roses are flowers. Wow. I think the alcohol is affecting me already, because now my speech is being impeded upon. It's not always a positive experience. There are negatives to having an LSD trip. There's negatives to waking up. There's negatives to unplugging, as you would say if you were a fan of The Matrix. Like, there's negatives and positives to everything, and there are very real come downs. And even though I'm making it seem like it's all just a mental thing, like you have a come down because you realize all these things that you can't change, regardless, like the come downs are real. I've had come downs from LSD that were so severe, and I was crying buckets that it made me go like, I don't even know if this is really worth doing again, because I realized so many truths that at the time felt impossible to change. And yeah, I'm just repeating myself now, but thanks for watching this video, guys. A huge thank you to everyone supporting us on Patreon right now. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for weekly psychedelic content. Anyway, I'm very interested to hear about any of your specific acid come downs. I don't want to just make this specifically about acid. I want to just say psychedelic come downs in general. The reason that it's titled acid come downs is because I've personally had more come downs from acid than any other substance in the realm of psychedelics. Often the come down from, well, say mushrooms is like one of the best parts. You're like joyous. So yeah, there's that pretty big difference between the two of them. But anyway, yeah, please tell me some of the experiences that you guys have had. And till next time, take care, everyone. Always test your shit and be safe.